Good afternoon. The Townsend Finance Committee meeting calling to order at 1 p.m. From May 7th. As we have remote members, could I have our roll call by voice, please?
Geraldine Bazika is here.
Andrea Wood here.
Sam Grant here.
And Don Hayes here. With that, it's 4 members, so we do have a quorum. We are good to continue. Item 3, this meeting is being recorded. It is being played live on Channel 9. Will be available for replay on Channel 9 as well as on the YouTube channel as needed. The Item 4, additions or deletions. At this point, I did not have anything else to add. We are just finalizing the work we're doing today in the work session is reviewing the final recommendations, and for those 2 articles that we did not have recommendations for, I had put some words together just to see if we want to do it or update them, because we do need to get these printed so that they're available for town meeting tonight.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I just want to bring it to your attention that the request for capital planning expenses came into question. What the Board of Selectmen approved was different than what the Finance Committee and the Capital Planning Committee had suggested, and there was some discussion about whether that was the intent. So at the 6 o'clock meeting tonight, before I am going to make a motion that we restore the $70,000 to output the new fire truck ambulance vehicle into that. So I wanted to let you know. I don't know if the board's going to approve it in its entirety, but I am going to make that motion.
Okay, now,
Could you repeat that motion? I didn't hear what you said.
This is in regards to the capital planning.
Okay,
So when we reviewed the warrant article,
Right.
we saw that the outfitting for I believe it was a total of $120,000 to outfit the, was it a rescue vehicle?
with the boat.
Or the heavy?
Is that the
Correct.
one with the boat?
So it was a total of 120. We do have on the special town meeting, the fire chief has agreed to take 35,000 of that, 35,000 of that out of ambulance receipt. So the remainder of it is only $70,000 he's looking to borrow under capital planning, not the full 120. That's already on budget to become out of his receipts.
So he's taking the 35 out?
The 35 is on the special warrant. Hang on.
Okay.
That was Article 10, on the special, the fire department, emergency vehicle equipment, on the ambulance receipt for 35,000. But again,
Right. So take the 35 out of the 125 he requested, and he's looking for the remainder to borrow directly under capital.
okay, so
Fine.
that, yep. Now, the other 2 that we did have questions on, items 1 and 2 on the capital plan, that were discussed. One was the electronics records backup for police department, and the other was the 77,000 for the energy upgrades. Both of those on the warrant article are showing borrow. We thought that was not on the borrow list. We thought it was only the
I thought
2 highway department trucks were borrowed. The other 2 were capital stabilization, I believe.
The 38 was out of capital.
Okay, and then the 77 was for the building upgrades for the lights. Was that borrow? So,
When you say for what are you trying to do, the lights?
the energy upgrades.
Oh, the energy.
For the buildings, so that, because when we look at the warrant article, sorry, let me call up the warrant articles, themselves. Okay, sorry,
The 38 was coming from free cash, right? Wasn't it?
was it free cash or was it, capital stabilization?
Capital.
So, okay,
Wasn't it Andrea Capital? Oh, she wasn't there.
Yeah.
And so, yes.
Yeah.
I wondered,
Yeah.
if, Terry had the copy of the motion. Because if we had the motions, we'd know how it was going to be proposed and what it was going to be proposed
Yeah,
as.
I do. I can pull that up on my screen if you want, but I think he's pulling it up as well. So they were listed as borrowed, and now that you're saying, I didn't catch that. But you're right, we did say some of that money was coming from capital.
Mhm.
The
But the
38.
motion should tell exactly where it's coming from and where it's going.
What article is that, Tom?
Yeah.
What article is that?
I think it's Article 9.
9, okay.
Yeah, sorry, just get. Okay, I just started the box.
Yep,
Article
Article
8.
8.
Yeah, so, I do have it displayed up on our screen, so it's kind of, so item 1, police records management is showing, at least in the, again, in the warrant article, it's showing borrow for the first two, the police and the energy. And we thought, and it may be corrected in the motion that, that we're using capital,
Yeah, the motion, it said borrow or transfer from available funds, but it probably should be in the motion. I can see if we can change that. We should say, capital funds for those first two, because that is what we had decided.
right, yeah, and again, that's what.
And since I'm asking that this motion be reconsidered and added tonight, I can make that fix tonight at the, selectmen's meeting as well.
Okay, so that's Article 8 on the, so I don't know that we need to change, well, if the motion's gonna change on the floor and have another, the 75,000, the additional, and again, that was recommended by the capital planning committee at the time was to outfit the fire.
Exactly.
Yeah, so, the motion, it's coming all the way back to what we had reviewed with capital planning and was presented to the finance committee.
Correct.
So with that additional information, let me get back to our recommendation. Regular town meeting. Sorry, it's kind of like, so regular town meeting, Article 8, the recommendation that we're showing here is that we're recommending that we support the capital budget and we'll recommend funding items 2 with available funds, and borrowing for items 3 and 4. So do we want to clarify that with available funds from capital stabilization? Or just put it in?
Well, is this money that's already standing in the capital planning, budget?
Yes,
Yeah,
that's my understanding.
Okay.
Yeah. And
Well,
I
that's
think
good. And unless some of the other articles are going to be funded by, free, free cash, it shouldn't
No,
be a conflict.
our thoughts for item 3 and 4, their plow trucks is to, go to bond for those.
um,
Okay.
right. And do we want to put a comment if approved, Ed? If approved on the floor, we also, recommend taking item 5, which would be the, equipping the, fire department equipment.
What did you say?
Okay, so,
Yeah, I
Lisa
think we
said-
should wait because I'm not sure the
It
other
will-
2 selectmen,
Well-
they had originally, like, the finance committee and the capital committee did approve that, but the
Mhm.
board of selectmen 2-1 did originally vote that $70,000 down.
so,
So
me.
they might do that again, and it would just stand out as it is. But
Mhm.
there was some confusion on exactly what they were voting down. Some of them thought it was just for a boat. Others,
Okay,
now we're learning that it's really for cardiac equipment and stuff. So we just want to get a chance for the fire chief to review exactly what that money will be used for and give us another chance to revote on that.
okay,
And I'd like it if it said from the exact place it was coming rather than available funds. Because I
Mhm.
think that becomes confusing after all to the public. Because,
Understood, Andrea. We'll do that.
oh, good, thank you.
okay, yeah. Okay. So that takes care of one of the pieces, that we were having. Again, I was trying to make sure if I go back up, to the top, we sort of jumped around. And just, pretty much our commands. Article 3 was, we had gone through, we've recommended Article 2, we have no action recommended on Article 3, on the warrant, okay, on the special. And I can see that. I was typing in a hurry. However, in a year where overrides have been presented and other difficult budget decisions are not resolved, every amount. Doesn't make any sense. to me.
If it doesn't have an amount, we can't vote on it.
Right, yeah, okay, that's right. I kinda,
I won't vote on it.
Bring up Article 3, what is the one you said doesn't have an amount?
But I'm just going back to take a look. We kinda, we were on special town meeting.
Is there
Well,
$5,000?
$5,000, yeah, it's kind of like, yeah, so, this is from the Board of Health looking to take $5,000 and put it in a protocol for the Board of Health in case of residential condemnation of property. And so I misrepresented what we were talking about and did not read. Okay, yeah, now I get it. It's kind of like, what we were trying to get it across is that, we're not recommending an action be taken on setting up this $5,000 because we're trying to preserve, every amount that can be preserved for other usage. What we were trying to say with this is preserve the $5,000 for another purpose as it gets defined.
Okay, just so you, not that it matters, I understand what you're saying here, but this is an amount that the Board of Health came before us
Mhm.
to look for, but I understand what you're saying, so we're good here.
Um, yeah. And again, under the fact that we said we understand the request, we understand we're trying to do it, but we don't, other funds available. Is there a grant available for funding like this that we can go after to try to put that money into an account? It's kind of like, and where's the trigger and what's the payout and what's, there's a lot of questions with just setting up an
We
account.
don't know how long that would last, and we
Right.
don't know, if that's a day, a month, a year, a week, or,
Yeah. So
I
that,
think we have to be careful with that.
we kind of, Article, okay, sorry. Just kind of like, so I didn't know that, that there were other pieces. Did anybody have on the special town meeting, any changes that, I incorrectly captured and put into our recommendations for town meeting?
Okay, so we've got free cash and other funds. When will they decide whether it's free cash or other funds? When will that be? What is our free cash at the moment?
The free cash was, I think it was 329. I don't know that right.
It was over 300,000.
Yeah, I thought it was like 329.
329?
Right, and then all of the articles on the special would bring it down to about 150,000 free cash.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
And again, that's. So, if there is available funds that can be transferred out.
So when do they decide, when are we deciding that? I mean,
Well, those are the pieces. It's kind of like, Teresa, in the motions, does it say specifically where the funds are coming from? Or is it still, free cash or other available funds?
it's just not making a decision when, yeah.
Right, it's kind of like, so it comes down to the town administrator working with the, town accountant to see.
Are they gonna know that by tonight?
No, they won't know that necessarily. And
So things that we don't take out of free cash can be pending up in the air for,
so
if we took everything out of free cash, we'd only have 100,000 left, right?
147, I think he said.
147?
147, yeah. And that's with FY '24 free cash,
Mhm.
or FY '23 free cash. The free cash for FY '24 is not gonna get certified until this fall.
Right,
So, and again, the free cash should be looking at using items that are one-time use items, not things that are ongoing budget items. So we may be funding this as a one-time, but if the intention is to perpetually bring this up to 5,000 or increase it, that's an ongoing, and it's almost an operating budget item rather than, rather than just a one-time. So that's why we're saying be very cautious with the use of the free cash in setting these up. Because if they're in essence becoming operating budget items, they are going to be, there's going to be a need year over year, and we don't know what it is, setting all these different funds up, with maybe the exception of the elections one. That one is more predictable at this point, because we know when state elections are, and we know when presidential elections are. So those years can be a little bit more predictable. Okay. So, with it, rather than review each one, or do you, Finance Committee, do you want me to go through and look at each one of our recommendations that we captured? Nothing being heard, I'd like to say that I have captured our last meeting and transferred it onto this. When we talk about down to Article 13 are the 12 and 13 are the trash lines. We have recommended more favorably Article 12 because that was the lower price. Article 13 is also in favor. I suspect we'll take no action. If Article 12 passes, I suspect Article 13 may not be brought. And there'd be no action. And then,
Although with the two, they may bring up the second one just to see which one has a higher vote. You know, if it's a matter of counting
mhm,
people, which one we really get.
yep, and I think it all becomes very personal in what the decisions are. You know, Article 13 is more expensive overall, but I, like many, probably built a trash receptacle holding area that was built on the trash barrels I had at the time, not new ones. And so, you know, that could be people's decision. They'd rather stay with what they have and getting picked up and pay the higher annual cost.
Well, I think one of the problems people have is that the toters are huge. I
Mhm.
actually generate very little trash in a week.
Right, yeah,
So I want to stick with what I have.
yep, that becomes a piece, yeah, I know, I can see what goes out to the curb in my neighborhood, and you're right, some people have a tiny bit, and it just, having a toter, for that seems like overkill.
But
And-
then on the safe side, everybody's toter would be the same.
Mhm, right,
So you'd have less chance of your toter getting into the truck or dropped off at somebody else's house.
yep.
You know, because it wouldn't matter. They're all the same.
Yep,
Well, the other part of that other story is, one with the toters, which is great, but the second part is you're taking a job from somebody.
we're taking,
But this vote really has nothing to do with any of those. That's eventually going to come back to the Board of Selectmen.
Mm-hmm.
whether we go with toters, without toters, whether, how much the contract's gonna be for. The only purpose of this vote is to see if, the town is willing to let us go consider a 5-year contract. Nothing
Right.
about whether that contractor will have toters or not, nothing about what the pricing of the contracts is gonna be. It's just right now by, town regulation, we can only enter into a 3-year contract. And Shores is thinking it may be better for us to do a 5-year contract, which we can't do unless we pass this
Okay.
law.
Does the
Yeah.
motion say that?
No.
Well, the motion is different than the warrant article. The motion, if that's how the motion is written, that's one piece. The way the warrant articles are written, it looks like an either or kind of offering. It's kind of
Well,
like,
plus the way the articles are written, a motion gives you one action. The articles, the way they're written, are for two actions. One for the 5-year contract and
Mhm.
one for with or without toters.
No, that's not how it's written. Can we bring
What
them up?
Well, I should be sharing Article 12. Sorry.
You're sharing your recommendation.
I'm sharing our recommendations. I need to go back to the special. Okay, so you want it going up a little bit, or are we good with Article 12?
Oh, I do see what you're saying, to not include toters.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so it appeared as though there were the two articles. One is a 5-year contract with toters, one is a 5-year contract without. And again, we understand the main thing is the 5-year, but it comes down to it. And again, it's kind of, that's why we went with budget wise, and finance committee were recommending lower price initially, and over the life of the contract is to do the toters.
Right.
Mhm.
The way that we are addressing it as selectmen, though, it's if you allow us to go into a 5-year contract, then we have an option with or without toters.
Mhm.
But if both of these are voted down, then we can do a 3-year contract, but a 3-year contract can also be made with toters or without toters as well. So,
Mhm. Right.
But
but I
that
can see,
contract isn't yours to make. That contract is the Board of Health to make. You only approve or disapprove of it
right,
once it's
it's
made.
Board of Health to make and for us to approve or disapprove. So I see where I'm confused on this, but this is what was presented last night to by the other selectmen. So I'm glad you straightened me out.
No,
And I'll have to straighten them out.
well, that's what the appearance, what the appearance is. So it gives us that opportunity, to look at these and have a couple of sets of eyes looking at them, so that how, and then how it's presented to the town tonight is with a little bit,
Exactly. Yeah.
both.
Yeah, because at yesterday's meeting, I said to myself, I'm just very concerned that many of us already have reciprocals in this town that
Mhm.
fit the requirements of the toters. So now, if we go into a contract with whatever, with toters or whatever, then
Yeah.
now we have more trash we're making because we're not using what we already have. And Chaz stopped me and said, but that's not up for discussion. That will come later. The discussion is just whether we can do a 5-year or a 3-year contract. It's not
Okay.
about toters or not.
What,
So we'll
what's
have
the,
to,
what, does the motion say? Does the motion say just
But
for
you're
the
right.
5 years?
No, I see where it says here, I don't know if they made some change, or if I was looking at yesterday, but again, it does say exactly as you said it does, so, and I don't see how it's gonna change, so it's exactly what you said. I'll just clarify, I'll just make sure Chaz knows, he was, either is unaware that how it's written or is confused at how it's written, so.
Or, again, there was a change in philosophy in that we're gonna say on the warrant, take no action on Article 13. Article 12, the motion will be presented to allow us to enter into a 5-year contract with terms to be defined.
Right,
Uh,
yeah, but I
right,
definitely will want it to be straight with all of us before we meet. I don't want it getting, straightened out on the floor, so
No,
Well, and you don't
I'll
want
bring
the
it up
public,
at 6 o'clock and make sure the language is the same that we have from yesterday, as I'm
Mhm.
seeing up here.
plus you don't want the public to think you're pulling a fast.
Exactly,
You know,
yep,
you've got
Yeah.
to get it clear to them.
right, that's the biggest thing, is the clarity and a single point of view. It's kind of like, we didn't have motions in front of us to review. We only had the warrant articles, and so that's why we vote based on what the warrant articles.
exactly, yeah,
It's kind of like, so, but we, if needed, we can clarify it too at the same point, because in reality, we know how important trash collection is to the town. And as one of their main items that they want as a service provided by the town. So looking at it, we're recommending that the 5-year contract, even though the last 2 years have many items that are market price, we don't have a definitive year 4 and 5 price, but we would have a contract for 5 years, which is stability. It's kind of like,
This is where it's gonna get confusing to the general public, because they think they're voting on the trash. I think if we just come right out and say, what you're really voting on
mhm,
is a 3-year contract is what we normally have, but they would like to go to a 5-year. Will you allow us to go to a 5-year?
Yeah.
Other than that, they're gonna be thinking they're getting totes or no totes,
right,
everything
yeah,
else.
exactly. And as that goes, there are many other questions that come down to
Exactly.
who's managing the totes? How many extras are we gonna have? Where's the storage gonna be? Who manages it? Who approves new ones? How many people have bought purple garbage bags and maybe don't have them used up? What's the purple garbage bag
Well, yeah.
process gonna be? All of those kinds of things are
right, opt-out
TBD.
options, all these other type of things, that's not part of this article. The
No.
article brings everything back to the Board of Health, but the way it's written, the article does say toters or not toters, so I know that's not, that's,
That's not
we
what
gotta
we're
look at that.
Yep, okay.
Isn't it a little late to look at it?
No, we have one more meeting, 6 o'clock tonight, and we can,
We come into.
just make sure we're all on the same page.
Yeah, that's, Teresa's referring to, there's a 6 o'clock Board of Selectmen meeting just before town meeting.
Right.
Which is the normal standard process, so that will be in the Selectmen's chambers at 6 o'clock this evening.
So they
Teresa?
can write those 2 articles, is what you're saying.
They'll discuss them, and they may have in the motions, clarity in how they're planning to address the.
Just
Teresa,
as I'm making a motion to put, for clarity on the $70,000 that was lost for the firemen, that might make a last minute change to that. We'll have to make the amendment on the floor. But at least we're all in agreement, we would agree as a board to make that amendment. If I bring it, forward to Chaz tonight that, we're saying this isn't about the contract, about toters, about not toters, and say what, but if you read it as it's written, it truly is. One says toters, one says not toters. We might make a decision as the board to amend it on the floor to change or explain it.
well, you can do it you can do that, but you can also have it specific in the motion itself. Because it's
Yeah.
a motion that goes forward, not the article.
Exactly.
Okay, I want to go,
That's what I meant by on the floor. So before the motion is read, we would just like, there's a change to Article 16. The motion is as read, blah, blah, blah.
Is council going to be at your 6 o'clock meeting?
Yes, they are. Yeah.
Wonderful.
I'd like to go back to the fire thing. I'm a little confused on that.
Okay.
All right, so, was that Article what, 8? No.
I
that's
have it
gonna
as
be-
Article 9, but some reason it's shown as Article 8 here, so.
It's Article 8 on
Oh,
the capital. On the
Yeah,
capital.
so I must have wrote it down wrong. But
I
anyway,
guess,
I'm in special, and I think because it's where it fell on the page. So let's see, page up.
okay, so it was 120, right?
I see it, yeah,
120,000, right?
yeah,
Is
so.
that correct?
right,
that was
so
his initial request.
Okay, it was
When we
120.
vote, when we had our vote, I had the minutes from our meeting. When we voted our minutes, between the capital planning committee and the finance committee, we had voted 70,000. And he accepted that and he put another article on the warrant in the special meeting to, transfer from reserves fund, the other 35,000 that we didn't give him, because we only, out of the 120, we only gave him 70,000.
You
And
mean
then
out
when the
of the
Board of
ambulance receipt?
Selectmen voted as a body on the entire capital plan, they voted not to fund the police vehicle, fire vehicle, because they felt that they have already funded too many items. They had, new fire trucks and whatever, and they wanted to hold off funding that for another year.
Okay, so, I did, and Andrea, did you have a question in there? I thought I heard you.
She said from the reserve fund, and she meant, I think, from,
Yeah,
the ambulance
sorry.
receipt account. That's all right.
Yes, I apologize. Thank you for that correction.
Okay.
No problem.
That's, we're dealing with a lot of accounts and a lot of terminals.
Well, that's it. Yeah.
So,
Well, and
yeah,
it's all at the last minute, which gives you the heebie-jeebies anyway.
Okay.
Right.
So anything in those 8,000, that came from capital. Anything after March 1st is gonna be funded by EMS? Is that what basically, is that what's happening?
Yes,
Okay. All right.
but as it stands right now,
Yeah.
they're only funding out of their own account, basically out of receipts, 35,000. And the rest of it to outfit that new vehicle they have is not going to be funded till next year.
Till next year. Okay.
Unless
Okay.
I can get the board to reconsider tonight.
They think it's wise to have an empty ambulance sitting there for a year.
Andrea? I can't answer those questions.
Oh, no, it just kind of popped out.
Or would it be an ambulance or would it be a truck? Or what is it?
Well,
think
it's
it's
a
an
rescue vehicle.
rescue vehicle, yeah.
So it
The one with the boat?
doesn't have a
Mhm.
boat yet, and that's kind of why they felt we didn't need a boat yet. Wait another year. We've been this long without a boat.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. Fine.
Right, so if they voted it down because they thought it was a vote,
Right.
that's why the
Okay.
potential for
All
the
right.
decision
Maybe
to come
there
up.
should be an article to refund swimming lessons for everyone. And then maybe we'd never need a boat.
Yeah.
Good
I do
idea.
think the selectmen are gonna go forward. Like I
Mhm.
said, the chief is gonna be there to help explain. I just think they really were confused at exactly what type of equipment it was. And I think once the chief explains to them that he's not trying to buy a $70,000 boat, I think we'll be good.
Yeah, I think you're probably right.
Okay. Okay, sorry, it's kind of like we're getting a little off and it's kind of like I was trying to,
So he's still getting everything he wants.
no, but not the vote.
But not the boat.
Right,
He said-
fully stocking the rescue vehicle. without-
Okay.
Minus the boat.
Okay, now what about the Jaws of Life? Is that the equipment that he's talking about? What is?
The
That's
Joys of Life is specifically for, listed as that 35,000 that he borrowed, because he wanted to purchase that, right away, make sure. So that is coming out of the, ambulance receipts, and it ended up actually costing 40,000. So he's, might have to change that to 40,000.
You can't go up on
You
town
can't go
floor.
up.
Oh,
Can't
okay,
go-
well,
you can
I
only
guess
go
he'll
down.
have to figure something out. So,
Mm,
You can't go up.
can't go up. And you
that's right, I
can't-
forgot about that.
Yeah, and you can't add articles.
And I
That's
don't,
right.
yeah, the other
Well-
thing is you can't add an article.
Mhm.
So
Right,
once it's posted, you can add articles.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, boy.
Or maybe, yeah,
yeah.
maybe he'll figure out a way to get it at the price he considered.
How many Jaws of Life does this give us at the fire department?
I do
No,
not
what?
know that.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
What did you say, Andrew? I missed it.
How many Jaws of Life do we have? I know we have one old one, and I know the new one is supposed to be much more modern, easier to use, faster on release and things. But
Mhm.
I had thought that we had gotten one modern one already, and I was just curious.
That's a
So,
good question. I will definitely
Yeah,
yeah,
ask
it-
that tonight, because it's on this size. How many do we really need?
Right, how many is it and the other
Because I'm sure
question-
somebody will ask that on the floor tonight.
Right, and, you know, when it was brought up in several meetings ago here, we're wondering, is this to go out and buy, a Jaws of Life, or is it paying for something that was already purchased? So basically, you know,
does he have it already, or is it here, or
Yeah.
what?
yeah, it's kind of,
Or
so
we don't know.
we don't know.
I don't know
Yeah, so it's
Oh,
I
kind
just
good.
know he knows the price has gone up, but I don't know if he's purchased. That makes me assume he hasn't purchased it yet, but I don't like to assume anything.
of.
Right.
Yeah, no, that's, so that's,
That sounds good.
that's, again, as we go into.
Well, you know, I think when you get to town meeting floor and they see an amount and it just says equipment and things like that, I think people really want to know that what it is.
Yeah.
You know, is it 5 or 6 things? Is it one thing? I think it's just keeping, you know, it's transparency is what it is, and it's just keeping everybody in tune to what we have and what we don't have.
It
And,
also
and to
keeps
be,
them
and in
informed on how
all
expensive.
seriousness, Jerry, I think,
What?
you know, that was the problem, I think, that the selectmen might have had. All
Maybe.
I really had at that time was equipment. I didn't really know,
Exactly.
you know, what list. So I think that, you know, gave them, you know,
Yeah.
they just weren't clear, you know.
Yeah.
So just as they weren't clear, I think it's important that we make them clear tonight and be able to make the floor clear tonight.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay. So, I did not hear anything else on the special town meeting, so going into the annual town meeting. article, when we get to Article 3, the revolving funds, is that, sorry, it's kind of like I gotta get.
What article?
Article 3 is the revolving funds, the list of the revolving funds and approving the revolving funds. And so all that I did was highlight the 3 that are increasing over last year, and the rest are maintaining at the FY24 spending limits. So this is the one where the recreation revolving fund, the cemetery.
I don't have that
revolving fund.
information. Where is it?
That is in the warrant itself. Let me jump back to a warrant and go back and get the annual.
Well, I assume they're raised because it brought in more money last year than it had the year before.
Right, yeah, that's, um, right, and that's definitely what we, and, and actually, when we look at it, we did increase two, one of the things that we said we were gonna do, and we're having trouble getting reports to help us, is to review the revolving funds, because the last 2 years, we have made increases shortly after town meeting. When we get into the new fiscal year, we did raise them. So the recreation was one of them. We took it from 80,000 to 100,000 last year, so that's actually stable, but not if you look at the annual town meeting report. This was action taken by the Board of Selectmen and the Finance Committee in our meeting. So it's clear that it's changed and increased from last year.
And it's important to remind the people that this is a transfer from one place to another. If it says $100,000 and they don't have $100,000 in there, they can't spend it. They don't get
Yeah,
the big amount. They get
Yeah.
what they have.
Yeah, they get what they have. The revenues that they generate for whichever whether it's the recycling center for the fees we charge when we recycle things up there, or whether it's recreation and the programs that recreation puts on. They will get in their revenue, and they will take and pay from within their program receipts to the people, that the counselors and things that they have, the materials that they need to support it.
Did they put any new programs in, do we know?
I don't know if they did. It appears as though most of them are probably the same year over year, but they have. I know they have posted that they're
Okay.
still hiring. So little shout out for rec counselors if you're looking for a little summer job.
Oh, sure.
It's kind of like rec program probably has some for you. Article 4, when we get down here, in the descriptions, you'll see that I highlighted it because we had not come to this. So if I look at the, Article 4 is the whole operating budget. And it continues into each of the sections. We had a discussion the other night, and we're talking, it's kind of like there are many things that can change at this point, and we say we have no recommendation because we don't know what decisions are going to be made on the floor, and we don't really have we don't have a recommendation on the budget, what to approve. I don't believe we have a balanced budget with all the lines that are in the operating budget as it stands, and so we wouldn't necessarily have a recommendation until we have a balanced budget. And I don't think this one is back. The override was approved by voice vote on March 19th, but it was voted down on the annual town election. So we don't have the money to support the overrides for the schools. Those are still in the budget listed at their override positions. It's kind of like that would put our budget out of balance, and we can't we're not recommending because we don't have a balanced budget available to us. That's what this is saying. It's kind of like, I don't know if that conveys it or if I need to be a little more specific with it.
I think that's good, and I think it's particularly good to let the public know. You toss around all these figures and talk about this and that at the meeting, and I think a general clear line of thought sometimes gets blurred and spewed along. So when you state outright that we don't have a balanced budget, that can put the public's thought into a concise picture.
So we have to present as
We have
close to possible a balanced budget. So We posted yesterday a second override vote.
Okay,
um,
Yeah.
That it can be used to balance the budget. If that fails, then we have to go back and do it again and again. Should that be mentioned anywhere in here?
we can do that. We had, we did not have that at the time we prepared this.
Right, we just did that yesterday at 10 o'clock, so.
Yeah, okay. Um,
Isn't there a waiting time, between, it seems to me when we went over this earlier in the year, that then you had to have, if it failed, then you had to have do the whole thing over again, not just, um, the electoral vote over and over, because that's what we had done in the past, and I realized it was wrong when we did it in the past.
My understanding, we have to, we can do the school budget over again, and then we would have to maintain, let's say it failed, okay? Then we would have to go through that same process again. So we already
Yeah.
once went back, it already failed, went back to the school, they have to come back with with a decreased budget.
And they
They're
dropped to 300,000, yeah.
right. Well, so basically 100,000 for us.
per-
So,
147, yeah.
all right, so we go through that process again, it fails again, they come back, they drop more or less, however, they have to drop, but let's say they don't do another significant drop. Then
Mhm.
by that second time, we'll be into their new school year. And if they don't come with a budget that passes by that time, then they have to start working on 1/12 of last year's budget.
No. All right.
Okay. If that
Right.
continues to fail, that they work with basically month to month, I think they have up to 3 months to get us to settle. Then it does go to a judge. Basically, a judge decides what the final answer is. It becomes a mediation situation. We've never had it gone that far in the town. We
Mhm.
have once before. Matter of fact, I was on the school board. Right before I came on the school board, it was part of the reason where we did go to a 1/12 budget. It lasted for about 1 month, and then they came up with a budget that the town could accept. That help or make it more
Oh,
cloudy?
no, that helps. I remember reading it, but you explained it much clearer than what I had read. Thank
Yeah, I was really surprised with them knowing that, they have to figure out how to work on 1/12 of last year's budget in a relatively short time, that they came back with such a low first offer. I thought they would be more reasonable.
Mhm.
But
yeah. So I added lines, 2 lines to the end. There will be another override vote scheduled for June 11th to determine if the budget presented will be a balanced budget. If additional changes or another iteration is required after that, the,
that looks good, thank you.
yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna take my yellow out of here, and again, one of the reasons why we're doing this, okay. So on Article 4, we're saying we are not making a recommendation prior to town meeting. And these are the words that we're going to have with it. Do we should take a vote today, if we can, that these are the words that we want to present to, these are the statements we want to make in our recommendation sheet to be handed out as voters arrive this evening. So we're looking at Article 4 at this point.
And I'm sorry, I do have to drop, but I think you got everything you need from me. So
I do.
I'll see you tonight.
Yeah, we'll
Thank you.
see you tonight, 6 o'clock. Bye. Thank you.
Bye now.
Okay, has everybody had the chance to read our recommendation or no recommendation for Article 4? Does somebody want to make a motion that we present this in our recommendation sheet for this evening?
I'll make a motion to put this into our recommendation sheet.
I'll second it.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any additional questions, comments, anything you'd like to see additionally? None being heard? Were you going to say something that I go too
I
quick?
think it's fine. It's nice and blunt, and I think that's what's needed.
Okay. That's what we're trying to do, and not make it flowery, but, get there, so.
I have a question.
Yeah.
There were 2 override votes. Both failed. We are only talking about one now?
Okay, we are talking about education overrides. So,
Yeah, there were 2 educational overrides.
The Neshoba Tech passed.
yeah,
The tech and the regular high school.
The
Yeah.
Neshoba Tech passed because the 5 other towns voted for it.
Oh, okay. So we've automatically passed. Thank you very much. I forgot about that.
yeah, so the number that's in the budget has to stay in the budget, and we have to find a way to cover it. So the only override vote would probably be for
Middlesex, right.
Middlesex. Yeah. Okay, I'm just gonna maybe see if I can come in here.
Are you gonna be typing these out for tonight, so we'll have them?
I'm gonna,
These don't match up. right? What was this from?
this one is the first few pages. These are the first 3 pages of the special town
Right,
meeting,
okay,
and then the next 2 pages
Those are the
are
other,
the
okay.
annual.
all right,
It's kind of, so,
okay.
so they're all connected together. If we want to separate them, we
Okay.
can certainly separate them.
All right.
But the way town meeting runs, we
Mhm.
start
That was a special.
the annual, and then we immediately break and go to the special, do the special articles,
Right,
and then return. So that's been the process as
sounds good.
I know it. Okay, so I'm gonna come in here, and we had the motion, and a second to accept these words, into our recommendation sheet. We haven't voted, so if we could have a voice vote.
Jerome, 6 yes.
Okay, we still have everybody?
I don't know.
Okay, Sam or Andrea?
Andrea?
Yeah, I'm thinking.
Okay, that's fine.
I'm still reading.
So I'm trying to highlight, and maybe that makes it worse.
That's too dark, man.
Yeah, and if I try to blow it up,
Yeah, I know.
it'll mess you up.
That's as far as I can go.
Okay,
And pretty good reading. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm sorry, what was that?
I'm fine with, Article 4.
Okay, so you're a yes, that will
That's
recommend.
affirmative.
Yeah. And Andrea, you're still thinking
Yeah,
about it?
no, I'm fine with Article 4.
Okay, and then I will vote yes too, so we, if I can find my cursor back again. uh, I'm just gonna see what I can steal. And I have been doing this for the last couple where I put what our vote is so people can see where we are. Okay, now, if I jump back to the articles, sorry, I'm gonna scroll by the whole budget.
I know.
So Article 5, pretty much says to see if the town, now let me try to blow this up. Oh, that's right. I'm gonna get my mouse working. So let's take this and put it at the bottom.
Tell me, Article 5.
Yeah, Article 5 says to see if the town will vote to transfer from free cash a sum of money necessary to balance the budget for fiscal year 2025. So with that, we don't know what the number is. We're voting an override in June. So I don't know that they can do anything with Article 5.
Well, the
Tonight,
other thing too with Article 5 is the things you're funding with free cash are ongoing expenses.
Yeah, we can't do that.
It's going to get us in nothing but trouble.
yep. Okay, the balance, oh, okay, yep, you're right. It's kind of like, so we don't, yeah.
I'll
Um,
recommend it.
so, yeah.
The
so
recommendations should stay the same, not.
No, don't recommend it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're not gonna recommend it, but, we might want to change this to say the final budget presented needs to be evaluated, and reviewed for support. It should not be funded by, balancing a budget should not be funded by free cash,
Right.
in order to balance the budget, because it's not a recurring revenue. Yep, okay, I'm with you.
Great.
I just need to change my words to, eliminate that.
It was only, I think, 2, maybe 3 years ago when the auditor said that we were doing so much better in not funding things
Yeah.
with free cash.
Right,
I'm gonna jump through hoops and seeing this one.
let me have to get my spelling right here. Hang on. One-time expenses or we're getting rid of a lot of what I wrote, and we're changing it to say free cash should not be used. And again,
Oh, excuse me.
okay. Okay, so now, Article 5, we have not, should we change it to not recommended?
Yes,
Yeah.
I'll go with the fuzzy work, but I prefer not.
Make the whole thing yellow for now. It's kind of,
I'm
okay,
actually
so,
talking to you guys. Good.
so, we're saying a balanced budget should be funded with recurring revenue sources only. Free cash should be used to fund one-time expenses or bolstering fund like capital planning or stabilization. One of my favorites. And there may be others. Okay, does that look like what we want to say about Article 5 and using free cash to balance the budget?
Looks like what I'd like to say.
Okay. I don't know that it'd be a number that they could put out tonight, because we don't have that kind of, we don't have $1 million in stable, in free
Yeah,
cash. that
perfect.
We can apply to it, so it's gonna,
Well, I don't know about perfect, but it's damn good.
so then I would be looking for a motion to not recommend Article 5.
I'll make a motion. We do not recommend number 5. Article 5.
Okay.
I'll
I
second.
had a low battery problem there a minute ago.
No, that was me.
I know, but it's still over.
Okay.
It's still on the screen.
You gotta hurry. Okay, so, we have a motion and a second in the room from Jerry. Any additional questions, comments? None being heard. A roll call vote, please.
Jerome Zick is yes.
Andrea Wood, yes.
Sam Grant, yes.
And Don Hayes, yes. We are doing this. And then we're gonna get rid of that. And the color. And so that gives us everything else. So we're gonna save that right now. Okay, so we have our recommendation sheets for tonight. And if I jump back to agenda, that's really all we had, the budget review recommendation, which we just completed in 4 and 5. The next scheduled meeting we have is May 7th, tonight at 7 PM, which is annual town meeting. So with that, do we have, I didn't ask any, everybody all set with where we are, comfortable? Any other comments before we close?
No, I think we got them covered, the important stuff.
Okay, that being the stance, I would entertain the motion that we adjourn at 2:10 PM.
I'll make a motion to adjourn at 2:10.
Thank you. We have a motion to
Second.
adjourn. In a second, roll call vote.
Jerome Zick is yes.
Andrea Wood, yes.
Sam Grant, yes. Oop,
And
Nikki.
Don Hayes, yes, then we stand adjourned